Hello, everyone. It's your girl Sharita, the Behavior and Literacy Strategist, coming at you from the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute, where you can find solutions for both your child's behavior and literacy challenges. I got a good one for y'all today, a good one. You girls out here, I came out to get some fresh air and talk to y'all for a little bit. And you know that I'm right next to this tree. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me go on in. You see that beautiful tree up there? Y'all see that beautiful tree? It's beautiful. I'm loving it. I'm loving the tree. But the only problem is that the leaves are falling. They're falling all in the car. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. You see that, right? The petals are falling all in the car. And it's making my throat a little itchy and scratchy, y'all. So I'm going to have to, it's windy. The allergies are just starting to act up a little bit. So I'm going to roll up my window. And I'm going to give me some tea with some raw honey when I go home, I love outside. So I got a good one for y'all today. Hello, Michelle. Thank you so much for watching. Michelle, I got a good one for y'all today. And this is a real issue right here. It's about your child's phone and game time. And I'm going to talk about structuring their phone and game time. And also, I'm going to talk to you about what else they can do besides that, okay? Okay, first, I want to say everything here at the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute is customized. You know your child the best. You know your home the best. You know your child's interests. So whatever I say today is just a general guide, okay? So, is your child focused on their phone? When they wake up in the morning, if they didn't have to go to school, they would be on their phone, or they'd be on their game and they want to play it all day, and they want to. Some moms that I talk to, their child it's time for them to do their schoolwork, and then they go in the kitchen to cook, and when they come back, they're on their phone instead of in class, right? And maybe when it's time to go to bed, and you think your child is asleep. But then you get up to use the bathroom and you hear noise. So you go in the room. No, your child is up on their phone and they're up on their game, playing their game when they should be asleep. Now, this is a lot of kids are so focused on their phones and the games, okay? Also, when I talk to moms and I asked about consequences, so if they're having some behavior issues with their kids, their kids are not listening when they tell them to do something, or maybe being disrespectful, or trying to find a way out of doing what they're supposed to do, or when it's time for them to do school takes so long when they have independent work to do, right? Whenever I ask them, what is the consequence what consequence do they get when they don't listen to you, okay? When they don't follow through what you told them to do, when they don't follow directions, when they don't complete their tasks or take care of their responsibilities. The consequence is always, I take the phone away, right? I take the phone away, I take the game away. So a cycle develops where they have their phone and their game, and they get really focused on it, and that's all they want to do, and their other responsibilities they're not really focused on. They just focus on playing their game or playing with the phone as much as possible. Then after moms get tired of it and nothing else is working, and told your child over and over and over again what they need to be doing, and they're still not listening, you get tired and you take it away, right? And then after a while they get it back, okay? And then you take it away again. They get it back. So that's the cycle, right? What's happening in the meantime, child, is when you take the phone away, moms, and this is what moms are telling me, so maybe you feel like this. You take the phone away, now you feel bad, feel guilty, because they're sitting there pouting, and they're upset, and they feel like you're taking their whole world away, right? And they just want the phone back. But the question, mom, is, are they focused on doing what you want them to do so that they can get their phone? Or are they just focused on you giving them their phone back? At the end of the day, when you gave them their phone back, are you satisfied with what they did? Did they meet your requirements? Do you have requirements for them to be able to have the phone? See, when it all boils down to it, they're not entitled to a phone. A phone is not something that they have to have, right? And I think kids need to understand this. This is a privilege, okay? So phone time and game time needs to be structured. And kids need to understand that this is a privilege, especially a phone is something that their parents bought for them, or maintain for them. They have a phone bill, right? And maintain a phone bill. Like, that's not something you automatically get. What are you doing to earn this phone time? So I'm gonna take y'all back to when I was a mental health specialist and special education teacher in a classroom. In both situations, there was free time, right? At a certain time. So when the kids came to group, I'll start when I was a mental health specialist. There's 2 mental health specialists in the group. When kids came to the group, they didn't come in and automatically they want to play on a game. We didn't have that kind of game in the class. We had a lot of hands-on stuff, a lot of creative things that you can do, things like that. But there was no game in their phone, and they couldn't come in and, like, I want to play with my game of phone, and if I don't get to play on my game of phone, I'm going to act up or not do what I'm supposed to do. There was none of that. We had it structured. This is what you do when you come in. Between this time and this time, this is the activity. And between this time and this time, or when they come in, they have some time to come in and plan in their point sheets. And we talked to them about their day. We, met with them. They got ready for group. During group, we decided what the activities were going to be. And then when the therapist came in or the clinician came in, we had our group meeting and we discussed issues, right? And that's what was going on at that time. And after that, there was another activity, right? And then there was free time. And you had choices of what you can do during your free time, right? However, you had to earn your free time. So you can't it's not automatically given to you. And that's what I think a lot of us moms, we slip up on nowadays, is that we feel like our kids, hello, Evelyn, hello, welcome. We feel like our kids, they're supposed to have this free time. They're supposed to have this game time or this phone time. We feel like they're supposed to have it because they feel like they need it so bad, they want it so bad, and that's all they're focused on. But who sets the rules? Who sets up the structure? Who determines what's going to happen during the day? It's not the child. They don't get to do that. Okay? And then if they don't have to do what you tell them to do so that they can use their phone, now there's no kind of structure around it. And now they are more focused on you giving them what they want than on their own responsibility. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Ashley. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about structuring your child's phone and game time. Now, I'm going to tell you again, when I was a special education teacher, it was the same thing. I'm a teacher in the classroom. Now, when I first started teaching, I was a permanent substitute teacher for a behavior disabled class, and the class was really out of control before I started teaching them. They put me in that class mainly to control their behavior. That's mainly why I was there. But I decided to teach them how to read, and that they had to behave like students. They had to learn. They had to do their work, classwork, homework. They had to do tests, and I had them focus on doing better each test and growing, right? But it's the same thing. If I went into that classroom and they told me what they wanted to do, and they tried to, well, we usually do this. And our last teacher, this is what happened, and this is what the teacher did, and this is what... No. I'm not going to let you run me, okay? It's my responsibility to run the classroom. So They had times where it was just about language arts. It was just about math. It was just about social studies. Now it's time to get ready to go to lunch. And this is how I want y'all to line up to go to lunch. And this is how these are the rules for when we walking in the hallway. Everything is structured. Kids need structure like they need food. This is what we need to understand. For y'all moms out there for feeling guilty when you discipline your child, when you structure things for your child, when you tell your child no, you are being a mother, okay? And when your child gets upset and they start crying because they can't get what they want, they're being a kid. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what's best for them and their growth, okay? There's a structure in school. In the program when I was a mental health specialist at UMDJ in Newark, right? There was a structure to the program that the kids followed. And then we had free time. And during free time is when you can have access to whatever we decided they could have access to. What do you want your child to have access to during their free time? Think about that for a second before I start giving my suggestions. Because like I said, here at the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute, everything is customized, okay? So it's your house. You're the mama. You know your child the best. You know what your child needs to work on. You know what your child's interests are. Now, if we let them, a lot of our kids during their free time, the only thing they will do is play on their phone or play the game. But is your child talented in art? Does your child like building things? Does your child like creating things? Or my daughter Jazzy, when she was young, she used to like to take old clothes and cut up pieces and make doll clothes out of them. Okay? What would your child be doing if they didn't have a phone? Ask yourself that question first. What would your child be doing if they did not have a phone? If they did not have the game, okay? Because our kids are so focused on the phone and game, it's like that's first for them, and then they take breaks to eat. They take breaks from that to do their schoolwork, right? And during the schoolwork, they're still trying to do it. You have to talk about it, you take it away, and then they're upset. And who cares if they're upset? Be mama and have them do what you think they need to do, what's best for them in the moment. They're taking breaks from their phone and their game to do the regular things. Then when they're done, they want to rush back to it. That means the game is way too important in the phone. That means it gets way too much. It has way too much value for your child. And it's also stunting their growth. Because what would your child be doing if they didn't have the phone and the game? So during that free time, I wouldn't even suggest, now you have your free time. You set a certain amount of time for them to have their free time. I wouldn't even suggest they'd be like, hey, you can use your phone the whole free time or the whole game time, your game, the whole free time. No, I would suggest that you have free time and you structure the free time. So from this time to this time, it could be an hour, whatever time you have, you're going to be doing, and then pick some activities that have nothing to do with the phone and the game. That has nothing to do with the phone and the game. Okay? And then from this time to this time, you can use your phone and you can use your game. Okay? Why do we want to separate it? Why do we want to compartmentalize it like that? Because we want our children to grow. And sometimes when you are trying to grow, your child is trying to grow, or they're trying to grow academically. We'll even use academic. A lot of the children I work with, they are reading below grade level and they're struggling. And they have behaviors that get in the way of their academic growth. So the phone and the game is doing the same thing. If that's what your child is focusing on, it is getting in the way of them growing in other areas if they're focusing on it too much. So you need a time where your child is not, there's no game and there's no phone at all. And your child will start to reconnect with themselves. They will start to, depending on what activities you have, they will start to do those things, and they will grow over time after they do it consistently and get better and better. And they will be growing in that area. you'll see a lot of things change. The phone and the game will start to be less important, okay? But it shouldn't be taking up most or all of their free time. It should be some time you can let them use the phone and use the game, right? And play on the game and stuff like that, right? But not all the time. Have time for growth activities for your child. And if you have more than one child, this is cool too, because you can have all kind of games and all kind of things that, you know, some things that when we were younger, and some activities that are creative activities that they do by themselves. So it could be drawing, it could be painting, it could be, my daughter Jazzy likes to make music, right? It could be making music. She makes music all the time when she's by herself. That's something she's creating. Somebody else created the game. Let your child's creative talents come out, okay? Or reading, right? It could be reading. They may like to read different kind of books, and they can collect books, and they can read different kind of books. Or it could be drawing. My brothers, they used to draw like comic book figures, okay, when they were younger. And Beulah says, my child shut down a lot. Found out he has speech language impairment, and he barely works in school, but he's progressing. That's good. What do I do? Okay, so there are 3 issues I see here. Your child is shutting down a lot, okay? We're going to find out why he's shutting down, your child, why he's shutting down. And in the moment, you want to focus on in the moment, because a lot of moms, what we do, and when I talk to moms, I have to help them refocus. As soon as we start talking about something that their child, as soon as they start talking about something their child is doing that's not good for them, Beulah, they start saying, well, it's my fault because I don't do this enough, or you know, I had this situation and now because I did this, now this is the result, or he doesn't get enough time outside, or it's because of the pandemic. Okay, all those things are structural things. When you create a growth and achievement environment where your child is just growing and experiencing things all the time, that gets handled. But in the moment, what is the purpose of your child shutting down? Every behavior or action from a child means something. 3 things we want to think about is it's a form of communication, right? So what is he trying to tell you in a moment when he shuts down? In that particular moment, take one situation, okay? In a lot of cases, their behaviors are patterns of behaviors that keep showing up in different situations, right? So what is he trying to communicate to you in a moment? Number 2 is the purpose, right? What's the purpose, Beulah, of him shutting down? And a lot of times it has something to do, if you're the one seeing him shut down, it has something to do with you. So if he shuts down, what is he trying to get you to do? Or how is he trying to get you to respond? Okay? Or what is he trying to get out of doing? A lot of kids. And then the last thing is, it needs an audience to survive. How do you respond? What kind of audience are you when he shuts down? Okay? So him shutting down, if he's shutting down and he's showing you he's shutting down and there's a purpose to it, how do you respond? And the way that you respond enables it to keep going. And that's the part of the behavior cycle that I talk to parents about. But again, it has to be customized. He has a speech language impairment. Okay, that could be worked on, and he barely works in school, but he's progressing. So, and what do I do? He needs, 2 things. One, and it's going to be tough, the first one I'm saying, that I'm going to provide the solution. 1, he needs to work more. Whenever kids are working less, and especially now doing the virtual learning, right? A lot of kids are not working, writing. One of my students, I said, they have to have a notebook and a pencil every time they meet. I teach a little different than the way kids are learning in school right now, okay? And it's like we're in the classroom, but I expect them to behave like we're in the classroom. So they need a notebook and a pencil. They need to be able to write constantly the way that I coached them, right? He didn't have a notebook and a pencil, but he knows it's a requirement. So homeboy had Christmas wrapping paper and a pencil. He has to have something, right? And then I asked him, why don't you have a notebook? Do you have a notebook in school today? Oh, we don't write anything, right? So even, I know what you're talking about with your child, Beulah, that he barely works in school. But because of the pandemic, because of the hybrid learning, because of the way that the teachers are trying to manage everything, our kids are working less and they need to work more. Okay? And the other thing is, if he is behind in his literacy, or he's struggling, or is has difficulties, there are blocks, there are holes in his literacy foundation. Those need to be filled up. It needs to be replaced so that he can function at or above grade level, and then both of those working at the same time, him working more plus all that being corrected, he's going to improve, and he's not going to shut down as much. Okay, he's not going to be using that shutdown, and he's going to be focused on growth and achievement. And she says, I always ask him what's wrong, but I don't want to baby him. Yes. Yes, Beulah. He's in school. He be telling the teacher he don't want to work like it's cool, right? And you know what? It's not just your baby. It's everybody. It's all the kids. I'm telling you, not all the kids, but a lot of kids. It's the same issue over and over. To try affirmations with him every morning, and he on the IEP, right? And what I say about the IEP too is, moms, we need our own IEP at home. You need your own individualized education plan. You need something customized for your child's the behaviors that they have. And I'm not saying, when I say behaviors, they don't have to be acting out, throwing things, cursing people out. Any behavior that's getting in your way of your child's academic success and progress. It could be a shutdown. It could be just they don't want to work. It could be getting unfocused whenever something gets hard, right? Anything, those things need to be corrected, right? And you need your own. They have one for school, but you as the mama, you know your child the best. You know what you're dealing with at home, so that your child, and here at the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute, we improve our children's behavior and literacy from home so that they can have success in the classroom and in life, all right? Right. So I hope you answered a couple of your questions, Beulah. But we can always talk more if you want. Definitely send me a message and we can chat. Now, so with the phone we talked about having the phone and the game time being separate from their creative time, their growth time, having them focus more on that and experiencing new things all the time, right? And then the phone and game time, they have their phone and game time, but they have to, okay, good, I'm glad. Thank you for your questions too, your comments. I appreciate it. They have to earn this time. So what do you want your child to do during the day? What tasks do you want them to do? And they have to have the understanding that, yeah, I know that game time and or my free time is happening later. Me having my free time, or how much time I spend during my free time, in that space, depends on how I perform, how I do what my mother tells me to do, how I do in school. So you have to have a customized requirements for your child to follow during the day. And they know that if they make a choice that's not cool, they know that that's going to affect the amount of time that they are having their free time later. Okay? That's the important part. That's why they have to have access to a phone and a game. They can't just have the phone and game all the time whenever they feel like it. They have to have the opportunity to get access to it based on how they perform. And this is growth I'm talking about, y'all. This is standards, having standards for our kids. When we raise the standards for our kids and we have expectations and we have this structure and we teach them in this way, they are growing not only when they are doing their creative time, but they're growing in the tasks you need them to do. You need them to do a chore. They are focused on doing it very well so that you are satisfied, so that they can have as much free time later. You want them to focus more in school, they will do that, and they will focus on focusing during school so that they can have more free time later, okay? We need to separate and structure it. So what ends up happening in the group room, in the classroom, sometimes we had and it has to be consistent opportunities. This is something that as a mom that I didn't do myself. I worked so hard, and I know a lot of you can relate. I had to give myself a kick in the butt, because when I was a mental health specialist and special education teacher, and this is my specialty in the classroom. You know, I work from home now, but this is my, man, I was good at this stuff. But when it came to my own child, I took too much responsibility for her stuff, and I wanted her to earn it so bad that I was helping too much, and I let too much slide. Okay? That's the problem, right? But you don't want to do that. You want to have them working in order to earn the time. You want them to work in that way, and that's what you need to do with your kids. And you, like I said customize it, right? So when it's time for them to do what they need to do, they will be focused on, this is the choice that I'm making right now. I'm making sure I do this so that I can have my free time later. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they will be upset at first, but after a while, and you staying consistent. Oh, that made me remember. Okay, because I forgot for a second. So let me tell you about the movie when I was a mental health specialist, and then I did it a couple times in the school, but I couldn't do it all the time, right? We had movie night every single week. Okay, now you can use this for your structured time. This one example is going to change the game. We had movie time every single week. Okay, it don't have to be movie time. Anything that you have in your free time. And the students needed to be on a certain level. Okay, so that means they needed to earn a certain amount of points so that they can attend the movie night. Okay, so whose responsibility is it to attend the movie night? It's theirs. It's not ours. Whose responsibility is it to earn their points? It's theirs. It's not ours. Who's responsible for their behavior? They are. We're not responsible for their behavior. Moms, you are not responsible, and I'm talking to you, and I had to tell this to myself. You're not responsible for your child's behavior, their actions. I know we feel like our child's failures are our failures and their behaviors are our fault and all this other stuff. You're responsible for the structure that you put in place and your expectations and teaching them right from wrong. But they're responsible for their own behavior. They need to learn this at a young age. So, guess what? We had the movie night, and then we had popcorn. And we had a fun time, and we used to talk, pause the movie and have discussions, and we used to, grow. It was a growth activity, right? So all the kids wanted to be there. Even if they acted like they didn't, they all wanted to be there. But what happened when it came time for movie time and you didn't make your points? I'm going to tell you how the kid reacted. At first, they was upset. Sometimes they'll try to throw a tantrum. You had to grab them, take them out the room, and bring them into the quiet room so that they could calm down and get themselves together, right? And at first, with kids' behavior, they think, oh, he can't control himself. He gets so mad, he just can't control. No, they already planned. Kids know. They like, every time I don't get my way, I'm going to act this way. And they work themselves up to where they may be out of control. But they already know this is how I act every time I don't get my way. They knew it, and we knew it, and we were prepared. Okay? Or they may act like they don't care. Or they may act like, or say, I'm going to mess it up for everybody else. And this is why this is critical. What did we do? If you did not earn the movie, you will be in another room. You'll be with another group. So the opportunity to earn a movie is still there. And for everybody else, they get to enjoy the movie. And you, because you didn't earn your points, and you acted out, or you started a fight, or whatever, during the week, you are going to be here, and you're going to be doing this instead. So now it's up to the child. Do I want to be in there enjoying the movie, or do I want to be in another room with another staff member doing this assignment, this growth assignment? It really was a growth assignment. We didn't call it that, but that's how I focus on growth here. But do I want to be doing that? They're responsible for making that choice, but you're responsible for the structure. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at first, of course, they will act up, because kids are used to using their behavior to control things. But after a while, they know it's not going to work, and they want to be there and enjoy the movie. They will change their behavior. Okay? It's not it wasn't our responsibility to make them want to do what they're supposed to do, moms. You know, we do this so that they can earn the movie. It is not your responsibility to make your child do or help them feel good enough to do what you tell them to do so that they can earn their free time and their phone and game time. No, it's their responsibility. Okay? So when you put this structure in place and your child starts to push back, your child starts to act up, they start to cry, and you start to feel guilty, and they start to push that mom guilt button, understand that that's normal. That it's just whenever there's a change like that or some structure put in place, kids fight it first. They will. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is bad. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You absolutely should do it. It means that they're going to go through a little transition from always getting what I want this way to learning a new way to get what they want, and also understanding that they have expectations. Okay? Beulah says, can you explain who you are and what you do? My name is Sharita Morgan. I'm the Behavior and Literacy Strategist. And what I do is I combine behavior modification and literacy growth strategies to help children improve both at the same time. When I was a mental health specialist, because I graduated with Bachelor's of Social Work, and I wanted to work with kids. I'm the oldest of 7 children, so kids were my life forever, okay? I was the oldest of 7 kids in the house, okay? So I work with kids at a therapeutic level as a mental health specialist, okay? But at one point, we started working with the kids on trying to help them with their homework after school, because they came to us after school a little bit early. The bus came to pick them up, or the van picked them up and brought them to our program. And during the time when they were getting ready and we were going into group, there was a period of time where we would help them with their homework. And I saw kids who were improving their behavior and their social skills and started to get used to our program, and they started doing well in our program, completely fall apart when it was time for them to do their homework. They couldn't read the instructions on their own. They couldn't spell. They didn't understand. If they can't read the instructions, read the questions, then they couldn't understand how to do the work or do it right. They needed us to be right there with them to get their work done. And they would act up and they would throw tantrums, and it's like, and we were managing their behavior, and it got to a point where, and they're like, no, we're not doing this no more. All right? Because really our focus was behavior modification and behavior growth and social skills as a mental health specialist in the classroom. And then they met with the clinicians as well and had therapy with their moms and individual therapy. But that was interfering so much with our program, we stopped, right? But I saw a need there, and I saw a link. There's a correlation I realized then between behavior, negative behavior, acting out behavior, and illiteracy. Because when kids are, and over the years, I've definitely seen this more. So I decided to become a special education teacher so that I can help them improve both in the classroom, okay? I was really good at behavior modification and working with crisis and helping kids calm down in a moment and think about their choices and deciding to do other things instead, that kind of thing. But I felt like we were only solving half of the problem, because when they went to school, because school was calling them, they were fighting, and I noticed that kids act up and they become very unfocused when it's time for them to do work that they do not feel equipped to do. Additionally, a lot of our kids are reading below grade level. And as moms, we need to tell ourselves they need to be reading at or above grade level. We want our kids to be able to function independently when it's time to do their classwork and do their homework. They cannot do that if they have holes in their literacy foundation. They can't read the work or do the work on their own. And at the same time, they use behavior to get out of doing their work, to get the teacher to come scold them, or get security to come take them out the classroom, or to get the teacher to come and help them and stand next to them, or get an aide to sit next to them and do it with them because they don't feel confident themselves. And kids will do anything. They won't tell you, they communicate it verbally, but they will do anything I've had kids act up and start a fight when it was on test day because they didn't want to take the test. So this is an issue that was going, unaddressed. And I decided that I was going to address both. So when my daughter was born, and I was spending too much time as a mental health specialist at the hospital, and I wanted to be home with my baby, and I saw this as an opportunity to be able to work with kids who had behavior problems and also were behind academically. I started to become a substitute teacher, and then I ended up getting a permanent class, which I was very grateful for. And I developed a behavior modification system in the classroom, and I taught them. I taught them behavior growth lessons, and I taught them how to always solve their own problems and had high standards for them. We had contracts with goals, behavior goals, and goals for their grades, and I taught them how to read at the same time. So that's what I do in my program now, and I feel like that's the only way to really solve the problem, or we solving half of the problem. If we focus on the behavior then we just focus on them not being able to focus. They can focus. They just haven't been taught to focus, and they haven't worked on their focus stamina, which is how long can you a child stay focused on a task without being distracted by their environment or inviting distractions in. That's something they do, right? So I call that focus stamina. They haven't been taught to focus. They haven't been taught behaviorally, because the classroom is not a place for behavior. It's a place of learning. So if we just focus on that, but we don't equip them with what they need to be able to read and function independently, they feel like a failure every time it's time for them to do their work, and they're always going to want to go back to the behavior, okay? Because if a child is sitting in a classroom and it's a 5th grade classroom and they're reading on a 1st grade level, everything looks like Russian to them. They can't do it, right? So that's why we can't just focus on behavior. Now, we can't just focus on literacy, because every time you try to teach a child who has fallen behind academically and can't read, function on their own, on their grade level appropriately, every time you try to teach them, and they've been using behaviors to get out of it for so long, and we just focus on the literacy, trying to teach them, then the behaviors keep getting in the way. And it slows down the progress. And after a while, the focus just becomes the behavior because it gets the most attention. Okay? So this is how kids fall behind. And they are in the 5th grade reading on the 1st grade level. Or on the 5th grade reading on a preschool level. These are kids that I work with that the focus is to improve their literacy, get them reading on grade level, and their spelling and writing and reading comprehension and all that. But at the same time, we have to have a behavior plan in place, because we have to grow both at the same time. Peter says, I'll be reached out to you soon. I definitely need help to help him. No problem. You can send me a message, and then we can get on the phone and do a free consultation where I assess, and I'll explain to you more when we talk. But assess your son's behavior and academic needs and develop an action plan for that. And that's how you focus on that action plan, you will make sure that your child becomes successful. But you need an action plan, okay? So I do the action plan. It's part of my free consultation. And then we could talk about my programming after that, okay? Yeah, so that's basically what I do, and I'm so passionate about it because I talk to moms frequently. Like, I only run my ad for a couple of days per month, but so many moms I'm talking to, and so many moms are reaching out because they have amazing children who they have blocks in certain areas, academically and also behaviorally. And you could have an amazing child, and then they could just be focused on hiding, avoiding, and fighting structure and fighting boundaries and trying to control their own world, but they are not happy. They are not. That's what we have to understand. They are not happy. No matter how much you let them use the phone, no matter how much you let them use the game, if at the end of the day they cannot read, that's affecting their self-esteem. That is affecting their self-esteem, and we cannot allow our children to spend another day with feeling stuck like that. We cannot allow that. And the thing is that you don't even have to work for months and months and months for a child to start to feel confident. They start to feel confident quickly when you work on targeted things and they start to experience many successes right from jump. You got to get the successes in there from the beginning. Oh, I couldn't read this word, now I can. You know, or I thought I wouldn't be able to read this word, but I surprised myself. Or now I know how to break this word up. I'm thinking about a student that I actually did some coaching during the consultation, because the assessment was so tough on him and he felt so bad during it that I had to leave him with something. And I gave him a word. And I coached him on how to break the word up, and I coached him a couple times so he could get it on his own. And he just kept saying the word over and over and had a big smile, and he was like, I like it. He told his mom, I feel like I'll be able to read better now. Imagine how a child feels when they have that experience. That's the reason. Of course, we want to help them improve in these areas. And it's not about the behavior, it's about the reason for the behavior, right? But we need to get that behavior in check, all right? I'm old school, so I'm not saying we're going to condone their behavior, no, right? But we gotta make sure that the kids experience this kind of success in the beginning. And it's not just because we want them to have a good career or have their business when they get older, be successful. It's not just that. I'm talking about right now. That stuff is going to happen when you have the right plan in place and your child starts to grow. That stuff is going to happen. Right now, in the moment, your child is suffering because they don't feel good about themselves. They are embarrassed to answer a question in the classroom. They're embarrassed to read aloud in front of other kids who may be better readers than them. You know, they don't want to do the work at all because every time they get an answer wrong, they don't want to get any answers wrong. So if they're used to doing their work, and the only way that they'll not get the X's next to their work is if somebody sit next to them and do it with them, they're terrified of doing it by themselves. And what are they going to do? They're going to act out, right? So with the phone in the game, that's a good escape. If your child is functioning below grade level and they are not really doing things, they don't feel accomplished every day, they can feel accomplished and in control in that phone, in that game. So that's why they're focusing on it so much. We cannot allow that to be your child's success. The phone cannot be your child's success for the day. The game that they were able to beat or the level that they were able to get to or the game cannot be your child's success for the day. That could be one of their successes, but they need to feel successful because they were able to read something, or they got a good grade on something, or they were able to spell something, or their writing is getting better. All they need is getting better. As long as they know that they're getting better and that every time they go at it, they're going to get better again, that's all they need, y'all, for a game changer, okay? Okay, cool. He not a behavior child, but academically, Lord. I hear you, Lord. What about ABC Mouse? That's a good question. That's a good question. See, there are so many good apps out there and websites for kids to learn. But my personal opinion on this is there's no amount of growth greater than your child being one-on-one with a book or a pencil and a sheet of paper. There's so much more involved in that, okay? It's more growth because they're doing all of the work. See, I actually was teaching my 3-year-old before she would go into school. The pandemic, I was going to have her in preschool, and then the pandemic hit, so she was home, and I had her in an online game. And she loves the online. She's very smart. She loves learning about different things on YouTube and stuff like that. I felt like she was getting enough of that. And then with the game, like, you can they'll give you multiple choice, right? Online learning, they give you multiple choice, and then you pick one. If it's not right, you get a little noise, and then you could try again and pick another one, and then so the focus is not really on understanding and trying to and getting the right answer. It's like, which one am I going to press that I'm going to get check for or is correct? So they should just get it wrong and then just pressing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, right? So it's important, I feel, for kids to get away from the game, and they can even sit on the steps and write, and then be able to read in front of you what they wrote, and be able to. I teach my students how to self-edit their work constantly. We're constantly editing and teaching them, but I don't tell them you got this wrong, you got to change this, and this is what I tell them to look. There are 2 words in this sentence that you need to correct. What are they? Because I want them to look for them, and I want them to then tell me what letter they think they need to remove from it. Like there's a letter that doesn't belong there. Which one do you think it is? Because they wrote that letter. Okay, it's not on the app or website or game. It shows a misspelled word and then they're asking that they produced, and they're asking what letter doesn't belong, and the kids can pick. That's not the case. They created this word. So now they can look at their own word that they created and find a letter that doesn't belong. And then they can say, okay, I understand what I did wrong and what I should have done instead, or what the real answer. That is real growth. That is real growth. And that's why my students progress so fast, because they have to look at their own work and they have to edit their own work. So, yeah, those are good. But if you want the fastest growth for your child, then a customized plan, and I'm constantly working on growth, not being perfect, but growing every day. And as I told my students, show it up like a champion every day. I don't expect you to be perfect, but I expect you to show up like a champion. You're going to be the best student, best person that you can today with what you got right now in this moment, what you've learned so far, your experience so far, how you've grown so far. You're going to be the best that you can in this moment with what you have, right? So that's my overall opinion on the websites and the apps and everything like that. And it's not customized. It's not what your child needs to work on and what they, what they didn't get a minute ago or yesterday that they were able to conquer. Now they're reviewing. It's not as customized as it needs to be for your child's growth. So we talk about fast growth here, and here we focus on growth. We don't focus on behavior, but we focus on, we put a plan in place for the behavior, we put a plan in place for the literacy, and we focus on growth, because that is the best. So yeah, you take the phone and the game away, and to get out of the cycle of them acting up too much, and finally you can't take it, and then you took it away. Every day is an opportunity to earn phone or game time. That's a game changer. Did you earn it today? Okay? Right? And you know what else that does? That takes the responsibility of it off of you. And that takes you... Okay. Just taking this time because I have an appointment after this. That takes responsibility off of you. And a lot of times and I talked about this before, as moms are buffers between our children and their consequences. So when they do something they shouldn't do, they're looking at us to fix it. They're looking at us to take responsibility for it. If we take the phone away, it's about us being mad and taking their phone away. And then they just focus on that. But man, this is your responsibility over here. It was about you. It's between you and your responsibility. Even if you tell your child to do something, you tell your child to clean their room, and I believe children should have chores. One of the success rules in my program that my students have memorized is contribute to your household and classroom, right? But if you tell your child to clean their room and they don't clean their room, the consequence for them not cleaning their room is still their consequence. It's still between them and their responsibility, and if they don't do it, between them and their consequence. Not because mommy is mad and she got to keep talking to me over and over, and then mommy was mad enough that she took my phone away, and now I got to work with my mommy. I got to break her down so I can get it back. It's too much. It's too much, right? So if you want them to grow, you step out of the way. Have everything structured so that they earn it. what are you doing today? What do I need you to do? What is your responsibility today to earn your phone time and game time? But also, like I said, make sure that they have a space of time where they are doing other things. So I promise you that I'll give some suggestions. Some I already talked about. Painting. I'm gonna talk based on the stuff that I laid out in my classroom and the stuff that I have going in my house, you know, and that I see kids gravitate to. Okay, so it's not just I think that kids should do this. It's it feels good out here. It's not just I think that kids should do this. Is what I think kids should do. This is it's so customized because it's what kids have become interested in and have shown me, and that's what it is. Okay, so in my classroom, yeah, I had lots of construction paper and I had markers and color pencils, and we had an area where they can paint, right? In my house too, both my girls love to paint and they paint together, right? And I got the painting supplies, right? But they also had puzzles, and for young kids, you know, the younger puzzle or their level, we don't even have to put it on the age, right? Or the more complicated puzzles. So time to spend to figure that out. They become problem solvers very well if they have time to sit and figure things out, right? Puzzles, and then also games. So if you have more than one child, having the game in there, like my daughters, their uncle just bought them a chess set, right? So being able to play chess or checkers or Trouble. These are games that's so good with helping kids learn how to take turns and be patient, right? This is the stuff that we used to learn when we were kids. We didn't know that we were learning life lessons, right? Right? Okay. And then also, I mean, I have a keyboard in my house. Sometimes I bust out. I'm teaching my youngest student is in kindergarten right now, and I'm working with him on alphabets and sounds, and I was using the piano. Now, I'm not a piano player, but I know a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But my girls like to, during their free time, get together and take turns playing the piano and stuff, right? The keyboard. You can have that. You can have a guitar. You can have just a couple of things, okay? Now, you know how we are nowadays, Mom. We want to run out. We want to buy a whole bunch of stuff. No, that's too much, okay? Give them a couple of things that they can work on during the time. Beulah says, I just did a volcano experiment with my kid. It was cool. I got the kit from Michael's. Very nice. Very, very nice. And she said, I'll be trying. I know that's right, honey. And that's good, too. Jazzy like the science stuff, too. So that could be another thing. And then you don't have to you can have an area where they have these activities. They have different access. But you can structure when you want them to do what, when. Right? So the science experiment, work on the science kit on these days, you know, or and then these 3 things you could do on these days. Pick what you want to do. Then you'll see your child, their interest, whatever they want to do the most is their interest at the time. And now we're engaged in interest-led learning, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay? So have them have experiences during their free time. It could be something small like drawing, or it could be something writing in a journal, or it could be something small like that on that day. Maybe that's what they want to do. But if you put so many things in there, they are doing a little bit of everything, during their time, right? So have them have access to a couple of things each day during their free time. And when they're going about their day, you have requirements and you have standards, Mom, right? It's so important for you to have that. Because when you get in the classroom, they have to follow the teacher's standards and their requirements, okay? Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like I'm putting too much on them. Or maybe he could take it easy. He been good. Maybe he don't have to do his chores. No. That's their growth. And free time and take it easy time is structured. There's a time and a place for them to be structured and relax and have their free time. And you structure that in. But then the other times, they still have their responsibilities. Okay? So this is why I say that you should limit your child's phone and game time. Not because I'm saying that the phone in the game is so bad. It's not about that. It's what will help your child grow, and what would your child be doing, and what do they need to be exposed to that is more creative and more growth oriented, and it's going to have your child have more focus in the classroom, right? Everything we do here has implications for the classroom. More focus in the classroom, and start to have a self party. What is a self party? All right, I talk about that a lot. Being self-aware, have self-control. Not need medication to control them, or an aid to control them and make them stay in the seat. Come on now. I wasn't down for them. When I was teaching in the classroom, I told the aides, no. The kids, they're going to learn to do this on their own, right? Self-awareness, self-control, self-accountability, and self-discipline, okay? So the more they focus on the phone in the game all day, that's all they want to do, they're having less of that. And ask yourself, is that what you want? Okay? All right, y'all. I had such a wonderful time talking to all of you today. Thank you so much for joining. Beulah, thanks so much for chatting. I can't wait to talk to you in person. I know we got some good conversations, girl. We got some good conversations, okay? Because I'm not just a special education teacher. That's what I did. Like I said, I work from home. But so now I'm a coach, and I just combine everything, and I just customize and coach and teach the way I want to. It's beautiful, okay? Right? But I'm also a mom, and a lot of the things that I talk to moms, that's why I focus on moms, right? Because a lot of things that I talk to moms about is a lot of stuff that I went through myself. Because as a professional, I was really good, but as a mom, I had that mom guilt. I was overcompensating, and I wasn't doing and setting enough standards for my child. You know what I mean? So I understand as a mom where you're coming from. And we're all moms who just want the best for our kids. We want our children to grow and do well and feel good about themselves. And your child does not feel good if they're behaving a way that's getting in the way of their academic growth, and they are falling behind academically. They don't feel good, right? So instead of trying to make them feel good by overcompensating and giving them what they want, let's put the structure in place so that they can grow from within and get to that real, secure, long-term happiness. All right? All right. Thank y'all so much for joining, and I'll talk to y'all again soon. For more information on it's called the 12 Steps to Behavior and Literacy Success. It's a tutoring and coaching program. Send me a message, y'all, or you can visit my website. Beulah, you can visit my website is Growth Institute. That's GROWTH, because that's what we focus on here. Growth Institute.mykajabi, KAJABI.com. Growth Institute.mykajabi.com. Also posted in the comments and in the description for you, just to learn a little bit more about my program and what I do. Okay, and also you can send me a message and we can chat. We can get on the phone and chat as well. All right, love y'all. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care of yourselves, moms. Believe in yourself, believe in your child, and always remember that growth is unlimited. Peace.